Hi, my name's Chris, and this is Roshi, and we're the General Manager and Director of the Stair Climbing Company. And what we're going to give to you today is a 20-25 minute video introduction to what we deliver and what we do as a business. In a nutshell, we provide innovative solutions, and we are alternatives to stair lifts, platform lifts, and lifts in general. Our tagline is creating accessible places, and over the years we've worked in wonderful places like the National Trust, Twickenham Rugby Stadium and Claridge's hotels, as well as within everyone's homes, making their homes more accessible. Our stair climbers, which we'll demonstrate with Roisin in a second, include ways of helping people on stairs inside houses, external stairs with thresholds, high steps, little steps, wooden steps, concrete steps, marble steps, you name it, we have come across it and we have provided solutions. The biggest area you'll see the use of our stair climbers in is reduction of transfers. So if someone, rather than transferring onto a stair lift, for example, at the top of the bottom of the stairs, we can move that person either in an integrated seat or in their own wheelchair through the entire journey. I'm not going to talk too much today, so we want to demonstrate the stair climbers. So we have two stair climbers just behind us. You can see we have what we call our Skyline and our Skyclimber stair climber. Both of them will attach a range of wheelchairs, a range of buggies for children, and a range of different types of seating systems, from tiny babies up to full-grown 6-foot-plus adults. So everything you see here can be adapted and bespoke to the individual's needs. So the first one we have got is called our Skyclimber. And what you see today is you'll see a stair climber here. It says parts of there. Hopes it's actually in shot. Looks okay to me. And the stair climber has an integrated. This is your really bog standard bit of kit. It has an integrated seat and it has a lap belt. Even with the bog standard kit, if we wanted to, we could put a harness on it, whether that be a 4.5 harness, and we can do things like extend the toe plates, reduce the size of the toe plates, depending on what the person's need is. You'll tend to see us using integrated seats more in internal houses where space is small. So what we offer with the Skyclimber is a product to support and move people on stairs, in small stairs, in fans of stairs, tiny spaces, tiny landing spaces, all the way down to 70 centimetres. So if there's a short space, we can put it in. We won't be able to move that wheelchair because your common sense will indicate the wheelchair is too big for the stairs itself. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask Roisin to jump into the chair. I'm going to pass Roisin the funky lap belt. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask Roisin in a second to relax herself backwards. Now, the first thing you'll see is I'm just moving the handle up, so I move that up to about chest height. Now, when Roisin's on the stair climber, we can wheel this around, or freewheel it around, as if it was a wheelchair. So a question sometimes asked is, can you bring that wheelchair up the stairs? And we might counter that question with, do you need that wheelchair up the stairs? And if someone doesn't need the wheelchair up the stairs, we can use this as a wheelchair at the top of the stairs for a short period of time. Remember, we have got those integrated seating systems as well. So if you need to sit there for, a 5-10 minute period, there is that system in place. Now what we're going to do is I'm turning it on, so we have a digital display that you won't be able to see. You can look at our YouTube channel, look at our training videos, so you do get to see it then. I'm going to wheel Roisin. You might lose me for a second, or not. So at the bottom of the stairs, we have our lovely oak stairs here. I'm going to put the wheels of the Skyclimber up against the stairs, tilting it back in. So I'm pressing a button on the top, and then the wheelchair or Skyclimber is walking up those stairs. So as you see, as I'm walking up, my back is nice and straight. It's all about the technique as we go in. Lower emotion as you go up the stairs. It's got 2 more steps to go. Just take the Skyclimber walk up towards me. And then what I'm going to do is last step. So we have got quite a tight space here, so it does show you that we can move in tiny little spaces. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put my foot on the back. I'm going to lower Roisin down. She's just going to sit there, and if I wanted to, I'm not going to do too much. We can move around there. So we can move from here, at the top of the landing, through to a bedroom or a bathroom, where we can either move Roisin in the most suitable way, whether it be standing aid, hoist, or even self-transfer. Going down the stairs, a little bit different, and this is the bit where you'll go, well, that'd be a bit scary, I'm not sure about that. We are going to go forwards down the stairs, same way as we come up, so we're doing everything in reverse. When we do this initially as part of an assessment, we have the assessor in the front, so it just changes the focal point, it makes the person confident in the chair, and we're building up that confidence all the time. So we make assumptions that anxiety is always going to be there, you're looking just the way to overcome it in different ways, particularly when something's a little bit different. So all we're doing, tilting it backwards. Now as I wheel Roisin forwards, everyone probably went, ah, but you'll see the wheels stopping. There's a set of brakes that just sit on the edge of the step. They will hold Roisin there all day long. I'm going to do now, press the arrow going forwards, the legs will move down, lift it up ever so slightly, going down. We've set the Skyclimber to a cycle. That means if I put my thumb down, you might hear it click to finish. And then I take my thumb. So it's just set to step by step. We can override that if you're in a hurry. Generally, people are in a hurry, they just looking for a solution. Okay, it's one more step to go. Again, at the bottom, foot on the back, lower Roisin down, and I can wheel her all the way around to the living room. I might go down some outside steps to get to a car, and that's how we will move Roisin around. So this is called our Skyclimber. Thank you very much, Roisin. And you'll tend to, I think as an OT, you'll tend to find you'll use that more so than the Skyline. So with the Skyline, we're going to show you next, you'll tend to use that more on external stairs. So certain stairs going up into a front door, you'll probably use it in conjunction. We're lucky because we're in our workshop with, if it's on external steps, a threshold ramp. So you'll see these, you'll recognise these from the lovely Enable Access guys. We set that up on maybe a PVC threshold or wooden door threshold, which allows us to track over the top. But it's something we do use a lot. We do have false steps as well if we need to. Sometimes the bottom step is huge, if anything else. So what I'm going to do with this one, just so you can see the clarity, I'm going to detach the wheelchair. It's a little bit like a magic chair. Roisin, would you like to sit in the wheelchair? So Roisin's going to be in the wheelchair. This here is our Lux Skyline. So this is quite a funky one, but our Stairclimber itself is this gadget here. It can fold down flat if we need it to, but it just gives you an idea on what we do. So what I'm going to do, so I'm actually going to wheel it so you can see it separately to the bottom of the stairs. I will skateboard and move it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to collect Roisin. So again, this is a self-propelled 18-inch wheelchair. We've got scoops to attach everything up to rear azalea chairs, tilting space chairs, so we can move a whole range of chairs with slightly different adaptations to the Skyline. So what I'm going to do, I'm just about, so you're going to just lose me for a second, and then, then you'll see me reappear with Roisin. It is like David Copperfield, isn't it? And I'm just going to attach what we call the hooking bar to the back of the chair. I'm just going to tighten the hooking bar up. You'll be like, oh my God, she might escape. She won't escape generally, but what we are going to do is, as before, we've got our lap belt. So as before, we can also attach a whole range of belts. There we go. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And what we're going to do with the Skyline, and this is the part that people go, oh, that's a bit worrying, is we're going to recline Roisin backwards, and you'll see from this cross section here the reason why, because when she's tilted backwards, as we bring her onto the stairs, she'll be in an upright position. I'm going to tell her I'm going to tilt her backwards. Roisin, yeah. I'm going to tilt you ever so slightly backwards. Okay. Like being at the hairdressers or the dentist. Okay, so just pressing the buttons to do it on this bit of kit. Say ah. And the irony being, that is sometimes the bit that people think is going to be quite nervy. If you again explain, the same as the anxiety thing we spoke about earlier, it's not a problem. What we're going to do now, I'm pressing a button, which has got a pattern for the track on it, and the Skyline will move up the stairs. And I'm going to just on the top stair, I'm just going to leave Roisin there. There we go, bless you. And I'm going to jump down. But you can see, it's going to sit on the stairs here, that for her to be in this position on this set of stairs, which is 35-degree angle stairs, has to be reclined on the flat. You can see that it's pretty safe to leave it as well. I'm walking around, leaving her on the stairs. It's a different type of way of moving people on the stairs. It's not easier, it's not harder, it's just different. But what we will do at Stair Climbing Company, when we perform an assessment, we make a decision for you, effectively, on what is the best stair climber for you to use and why. And as part of that process for assessment as well, you obviously get to go on it, use it, operate it, you'll see the whole process in place. And that's just part of the assessment. The assessments are free, so we charge nothing because we generally believe we can help everyone we go out to see. I think we do about 90% of the time. On the odd occasion where we can't, it's normally down to space or not a suitable operator. We can't find that person, so they're the two reasons. I'm going to continue through Roisin up the stairs. So obviously when we get to the top of the stairs, there is what we call a pivot point, but Roisin is going to go backwards again. Yay, Roisin. And here she is backwards. Now, once we clear of the stairs, we can again go into maybe the lobby of an area, maybe some of the set of communal stairs, and then when we're in a safe space, again, we can bring upright the wheelchair, detach it as we did before, and Roisin is off. We can then park the stair climber in a suitable location. Sometimes that's the biggest issue. Where do we put the stair climber? We've had them in boots of cars, storage areas, little sheds outside, or just brought simply back up to the place where you live. So we're going to take it back down the stairs. Again, the same as before. I'm going to do something a little bit funkier here. We're going to drive Roisin to the top of the stairs, but what I'm going to do this time is obviously you control it from here. But I'm showing you how easy it is. Recline position, set the stairs here. Okay, and there's your position on the stairs. Here. So you're forwarding it onto the stairs, you're uplifting it onto the stairs. If I was making it really easy, obviously I want to do this in real life, I could then track Roisin down. And what I'm going to do, so you're going to go back into that reclined position at the bottom. Just out of view, here we come, back in. Just so you can see how this process works one more time. Upright the stair climber. Is that all right, Roisin? All good. Right, if you can undo your seatbelt for me, please. Thank you very much. Then we will just, there we go, wheel away. So you can do the same with the Skyclimber or with the Skyline. You can attach, detach chairs, buggies. Think of all those weird scenarios we've normally come across, haven't we? Yeah. Like, things that actually, when you talk about them, make sense. A child's buggy, and you have to get it up 4 sets of steps to get it into a building. All those communal spaces with that lift, there's one lift and it's broken down half the year. Yeah. And you're like, well, what do we do? And this is a solution. This is a solution for that. When you're working with us, we're looking for the best fit, but it may be you hire short term. It might be a stopgap, a holiday, that lift failure, which we probably had about 10 in the last week. Yeah. So yeah, we're constantly coming up with strange scenarios where you can actually use this same solution. only work with stair climbing stuff. We don't sell lots of other products. It's important to us to focus on what we specialize in, and then look how we can move that into different areas. A good news story is we've worked with National Trust now for a number of years, but we've just done a project in Wimpole Hall in Cambridgeshire, and they actually, using one of those Skylines, got an extra 781 visitors last year into their building, into a National Trust property, because of the stairs going in the front. So that's a great news story, on top of all the other people we help in their homes, and how it impacts on their sort of mental health and physical health. Just being allowed to get out and having access into the community. I think as humans, that's really important. That's why you're occupational therapists, because you want to help people with this sort of thing. Is that one, isn't it? It is important. I think it comes down to human nature. And if what we do as a business can support that human to socialise and have a better quality of life, then that's what we're doing. We just need more people to know about us. So generally, all the time, we're trying to shout about what we do.
It's also worth mentioning that if you have access to community equipment stores, we offer redeployments. So if one of our stair climbers has gone back into stores, we offer a package, which means we'll Lola test and service and QA the machine. We will quote for whatever parts might be missing. And then we'll go out to the family and we'll train the family on that. So even if something goes back into stores, I mean, I'm consistently quoting for redeployments. And that can be short-term and long-term redeployments. Some are just for one-off injuries where someone's going to be out of action for 2 to 3 months, and some it's a more long-term solution whilst they're waiting for alternative housing.
Absolutely. I think that's a really, really good thing to say. The logistics is always important. We've worked with NRS and Mediquip, Millbrook, a lot of AGM, I think we started working with, but in terms of service providers for many, many, many years. And they owe us lots of money generally. But we have been working with a lot of associations, and we are more well known. With NRS, we're negotiating just a commercial contract at the moment to allow us to be not a specials item, which is what you'd find us under, but a catalogue item. And there is an irony that if you go to Kent NRS Children's Services, we are a catalogue item, not a specials item. So it's just making sure that's more consistent across the board, which allows then you guys as occupational therapists to access the services and products we offer moving forwards.
It's also worth mentioning that we have an operator service. So if you just were looking for an option as a one-off transfer, maybe to a different property, that is something that we can offer as well.
Yeah, that's something we've done more frequently than not. We do a Santa Claus service as well, less so this year, but if you need your family taken places for Christmas, we'll come and pick you up Christmas Eve and take you back New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
We've done that, which is quite nice. But you have to think outside the box. You think of the situations. We had a dog sat on a stair climb the other day. How do I get the dog up and down the stairs? It's like, well, so there are various scenarios that we can support with, and even if it's just a general assessment conversation, pick our brains, give us a call, drop us an email. That would be absolutely fabulous. The Stair Climbing Company. There we go. You can just Google us and you'll find us, I'm sure. But not info@thestairclimbingcompany.com is a great email to send to. What's that number? 01787 376 379
160.
379 160 01787. I'm sure Adele will put a little.
I will.
Okay.
I know.
Bless you. Right, I know Adele, you had some questions, didn't you?
I did. I was busily jotting down questions while you were demoing. I'm conscious that the view is just going to me, and actually we want to see both of us at this point. So yes, I think it's a brilliant product. I am really impressed by it. One of the things I was thinking when you were using the first one, was it the Skyclimber?
Yep.
So is that really useful for people as well that don't want the sort of intrusion of a stair lift in their home? Because a lot of people don't actually want that sort of bulky permanence on the stairs. And so I imagine you can store that away if you've got like a cupboard downstairs, so it can come out as needed. You find there's a lot of people that are looking for that rather than the sort of bulky like stair lift in their property.
A lot of the time, I mean, the answer is yes. A lot of the time, people will not. I think with OTs, the thing is to come up with a solution where a stair lift isn't fit for purpose, more so than not, and that's normally due to transfers at the top and bottom of the stairs or space.
Or it's a rental property.
A rental property, communal spaces, listed buildings, listed steps. There's a whole bunch of reasons why you choose this over a stair lift, as an OT in particular. In terms of aesthetics and storing, yeah, absolutely, we've had that a lot. I don't want a stair lift put in. A big one we've got at the moment, this is a friend of mine actually. His mum's pretty poorly, and they've been quoted. I said, your best option is a stair lift, but they were quoted a stair lift through the OT, and with an 18-week lead time, she has 12 weeks to live. So it's things like that come up that, you know, if you've got a time frame, we'll be there. Yeah. So we will prioritise what you're doing. In terms of putting away, etc., the easiest way to actually do it is it comes into two parts anyway if you needed to. That's also for transportations. If you wanted to use it another property, then you can do that in the boot of a car. Obviously, if you've got multiple steps outside, steps inside, steps here, there, and everywhere, then you just need one stair climber to do everything, rather than lots of bulky stair lifts everywhere. There is a place for stair lifts. There's a place for platform lifts and through lifts. It's knowing where our place also fits into that, and a lot of the time it will come down to not just the service or the functionality of what we offer, but also the costing. So we're more cost effective than putting other things in, particularly if you're looking for multiple steps with fans on. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. And what's the maximum weight? I was going to ask, because you mentioned that it could be from children up to someone 6 foot. Do you have a maximum weight that can be used?
Yeah, so the weight sits with the stair climber. So our stair climber capacities go all the way up to 150 kilos, which is just under 25 stone. Okay. We don't tend to exceed that. We probably could do, but we don't, because what we have to do is we have to train people to move people still. And I think you need to have a ceiling on what your capacity of weight is. The big issue that affects us on is electric chairs, because we do have electric chair stair climbers, but the weight of the electric chairs sometimes can exceed 100 kilos plus just by the chair itself, which puts you quite tight in terms of the time frame. So we try to not do as much with electric chairs and try and focus on the manual chair market, like I say, all the way up to sort of tilting space chairs.
Okay, thank you. And leading on from that, in terms of weight, is it heavy when you're using the stair climber up the stairs?
I'll let you into a secret, all of you. I'm waiting a phone call from the hospital because I've snapped my bicep. I've got to have surgery on my arm. So I just took Roisin up and down the stairs with 2 stair climbers with a ruptured bicep in my right arm, which is, I'm right-handed. So if that's anything, I could be lying to you, but if that's anything to go by, then it's fine. I won't lift the stair climbers up, so I've got a show tomorrow, but I will put things in and move things. They're not to be lifted. If they were, you're looking at 40 kilos to lift. Yeah. In terms of the usage on the stairs, the weight comes from inside your head. You know, the worry where everything bit like that. So that's the area with an assessment. And then with training afterwards, we look to reduce and we work on that area so you don't have that heavy thing. But someone initially looks at a stair climber, they look at you, they look at it and go, oh, it looks heavy. Yeah. My car looks heavy, but I don't anticipate lifting it. Yeah. It moves me around and does a job. So it's a really good question because it's a very common thing that people say. But the answer is physically, it's not heavy. No. Mentally, could be at the start.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 5'5" and I've taken 6 foot men up on using the Skyclimber, big sort of security men operated training with them. So it's definitely something that with practice and with training, you do naturally find yourself getting into the swing of things. It's very different to anything else you would have used, unless you've done evacuation chair training or something like that. initially it's a different kind of movement to what you're used to. But once you get into the swing of that and what the mechanism does, you naturally just get more confident in being able to operate.
Sorry.
I was going to say, it seemed when you were taking Roisin up, when you were coming down with the wheelchair stair climber.
Skyline, yeah.
Sorry, the names. And so do you find that just keeping that level of support makes the stability easier? Because it just seemed a bit more bumpy going down because you were standing at the side with very light support. So do you actually support that smoothness as you go down?
You can do. I think once you get the bumpy bit is the bottom step.
Yeah.
And the top step. And we only actually have a bottom and a top step with 2 others.
Yeah.
So when you actually, once it picks up, because the teeth have got to bite onto the step to get it onto that first step, then it's relatively smooth.
Right.
So it's that bottom step. But if I'm stood behind it, I'm sort of not counterbalancing it, but I'm controlling it better rather than stood to the side. I think standing to the side shows, you know what, it's not heavy, I'm not lifting it. But you can control it and make it so you could be a slightly better operator, I suppose. But I mean, with the bottom step, we have in the past, I'll grab something while I'm talking, and we took away things like this, which is just a standard bit of wood. And what we do to reduce that bump on the bottom step, and I think you can probably just see this, is we put it down a temporary false step.
Right.
Supposed to move this out of the way. You can see then that bottom step is a slightly different angle. What that does, it actually reduces that boom or that bump on that bottom one. So if someone can't cope with that little bump at the bottom, we can actually put something like that in which you can move out of the way afterwards, and it just changes that angle at the start.
Yeah.
So we have found that useful. We do get people with certain conditions that can't tolerate the sort of movement as such.
Okay, thank you. The other thing, having spoken to you in the past about the stair climber, you provide a lot of reassurance and support during your training, don't you? Which sounds like a really positive thing. And so you've said the assessment is free of charge initially, and then once someone is interested in pursuing, you would go out and train them on using that and their carer on using that, or whoever's going to support them. And you said the only times you don't really provide one is probably when you can't find the right person for it. So do you generally find that there's a carer and they are able to be trained around using that with the reassurance and support?
Yeah, I think we're about 90% success rate.
I would say usually at the initial assessment, we'd ask anyone that you see using the stair climber is there, and that they have a go at it without anyone in there. So that gives our trainer an opportunity to do an initial assessment of whether they think it's going to be possible. So sometimes it could be something like mum has a pre-existing back injury, but dad is okay, and a carer that comes in 3 times a week is okay as well. Or it could be that initially there is quite a lot of anxiety using the stair climber. So maybe we split the training into 2. So we start the training on just how do you operate the stair climber, and we'll say we'll come back in a couple of weeks. If you can slowly build up how much weight you're using on the stair climber, sort of sack of potatoes or sacks of rice, when we come back, we'll then practice with the weight of the intended person. So it's a conversation about what is going to work for individuals.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. So you're sort of grading it up with their confidence as well.
Yeah. We've spent as well in the past numerous hours with an assessment. Like you say, our assessments don't cost anything because we're pretty confident with what we can do. We do a virtual assessment to start off with, so photos, videos. We get sent over dimensions, spaces, wheelchair types, the approximate weight, size of the service users. So we gather that information. So when we go out, we're not sort of blind to what we're doing. We're going out going, right, we have a plan of action, and we might have 2 plans of action. Yeah. And then we implement them. And like I say, our success rate is pretty good. It's the sort of thing, if you have an older couple, say in their mid-70s, for example, and the mum can't manage the stairs, but then you know the dad's 76, he's either going to be 76 outstanding or 76 96.
Yeah.
So at that stage is, do you have any carers? Do you have any people living local? We've had guys down the pub move someone before, trained
neighbours
to get someone to a pub. Neighbours. We try and think outside that box area all the time. And as Rishi mentioned, I mean, we've had a few examples of where maybe a daughter comes down every Wednesday. The mum can't operate the stair climber for the dad because you still have to walk up the stairs backwards. And I believe in that. One of these circumstances, the dad was like, well, I want to get out every day, and it's like, you can get out Wednesdays or never.
Yeah.
And he went, you know what, it's fine. And it was just a bit of a rational conversation to say that this is the best we can do, and it allows you the opportunity to get out on this day. And it works. It does work. So we do go in. We're not salespeople. We go in offering a solution, and we're incredibly empathetic, whether that's a good thing or not. We do have fully grown men that do a lot of our training stuff, do get upset about the jobs they do. They're incredibly empathetic to what the needs of people are, and will really care. They really care. So
it's positive. Thank you. I'm just having a check because I didn't jot a few bits down. I think so I got the impression it can attach to any wheelchair. So you've said obviously powered is not ideal because of the weight element, but in terms of size, you can transport children's wheelchairs up to bariatric.
Yes, yeah, it's just the weight is the limiting factor. The weight and the space on the stairs. Okay. So if you have a bariatric chair that's 24 inches at the seat, and then the stairs are like this big, it's like, well, that's not going to fit. So we have to think again in those circumstances, and sometimes that's where your 10% of sort of failure rate does come in, to say, well, we've got to stay in this. Like, well, you can't. You know, you could be there all day hitting your head against or coming up with a solution, and it may not exist apart from moving, or, you know, and sometimes you get those awful waiting lists for social housing, you know, when you turn up in a 7-8 year waiting list to move on, and you're like, well, yeah, it's one of those. But yeah, most things, the limiting factor is the weight. That's what I'd say.
And in terms of stairs and staircases, will the stair climbers work on all different, so like would they work on stairs that have can't remember what they're called, wine
spiral staircases?
Well, I wouldn't have thought they'd work on them, would they?
They do. No, the Skyclimber works on spiral staircases. We've used them on numerous spirals. We have one in the National Trust used on the spiral staircase. So yeah, you just have to move the wheels on each step, just turn to make the large wheels touch the step edge. Okay, so anything really.
Corners and
yeah, corners, spirals, fans, tiny wedges in people's houses. Sometimes that limitation, 70 centimetres at the smallest point, is normally pretty good. Yeah, it depends the space in front of it. If it was an open set of stairs, they could be tinier because you're a certain person. There won't be a balustrade or a wall in the way. Yeah. The worst ones we've ever come across, well, personally, were probably icy marble steps in Kensington, because they're going to be slippery if you walk on them. So they'd be slippery in any circumstance. It's like, what do? I just scrape your ice off.
You can use them on carpet. What we would usually recommend, though, is just making sure that the grippers underneath are still good quality, so that there's no give on those steps, which is something we look at in the initial assessment. And if there are any concerns, so for instance, especially in communal areas, you'll have a strip on the steps which hasn't been drilled down properly, and hasn't been secured properly. So we might make some recommendations there, or if they're outdoor steps where they're a little bit uneven, we can usually navigate it, but we can give you some feedback when you send those photos in the first instance.
Yeah, there's some pretty grim steps out there, so sometimes it's there is an irony that it's not the stair climbers that are bumpy, it's the stairs are the bumps. Yeah. So you're moving up a bump, up a bump, up a bump, and sometimes you'll come across these steps which if you considered looking at them just a walk on, you'd be like, that doesn't look safe. So we do come across that type of step, and as Roisin said, we just recommend, well, this needs to be attached properly. The carpet's not, it's just laying on the chairs. This needs to be removed. This needs to be done. This needs to be done, and those jobs are then done. And that, unfortunately, is the time limiting factor, isn't it? It's that's how long it takes you to do it. A lot of those jobs, they're like a 3-hour job, and sometimes they ask us, "Do you do the steps?" It's like, yeah, not really.
It sounds like you do a really comprehensive risk assessment at the start. So, like, to minimise any sort of elements that could go wrong with it in terms of the stairs and the people. So you're looking at the person, the environment, what they're doing, and whether they've got the skills to manage that.
Absolutely, yeah.
We deal with families that have to deal with so much on a day-to-day basis. It's nice to be able to do such a comprehensive assessment so that it's one less thing they need to be worried about. We walk them through it still, so they're aware of what's going on, but at least they know that we've tried to cover as many potential scenarios as possible.
Yeah.
We do have we've had several situations, because we're so thorough and so our background leads to it. We have a lot of duty of care situations as well. So you might have part of your risk assessment, not just the stair climber, but then, the actual maybe parents of a child or something else, where actually you go in and go, actually, this person isn't safe enough to do it for X, Y, Z reasons. So yeah, we do have some more complex cases, which is just life, really. So.
Yeah. Okay. And in terms of cost, that's what I was going to ask. Is there a difference in cost between the two models?
Yes.
A little bit.
A small one. So these are the prices as of now. So the Skyclimber model is £5,200, excluding VAT. And the Skyline starts at 5,200, but it depends which model you go for. So our Lux model here is about £200 more, because you've got the additional assistance there with loading onto the tiller. But we also, depending on budgets and things, like we said, we've got preconditioned models that are in stores. We also sometimes have pre-loved options available, so either where they're ex-hire or we've bought back from customers who've only used them for a couple of years. So it's always worth having a conversation, especially if budget is something that you're having to be mindful of if you're dealing with clients that aren't being funded through equipment stores.
And obviously Roisin mentioned earlier about redeployments as well. And we also redeploy other stair climbers. So if you go into your stores and, well, within reason, but if you go to your stores and we don't have our stair climbers, we found another company's stair, what can you do with that? Then we can do a full assessment on the actual stair climber itself and say, yes, it needs X, Y, Z, because they come under Lola tests as well, but we can still do assessments on that type of stair climber also, and then give our advice and then potentially redeploy those two, which we do on numerous occasions.
Thank you. I was just putting my mute on when you were talking at the end there. I think that's it on questions. Is there anything else you wanted to add to?
No, I suppose making sure you know our contact details. So the Stair Climbing Company, so the website is thestairclimbingcompany.com. You can go straight to a contacts page there, which I have our emails, phone numbers on, chats, a million ways to contact us. So if you contact us that way, if you do come across someone and go, you know what, we need this, we need it for a week, we need it for a day, we need it forever, we need it for a period of time, then gather photos, gather any information on that person would really help us out. Separately, if you don't get any information or can't get any information, we will come out likewise. It just allows us to be a little bit more comprehensive if we have information moving forwards at the start.
Great, thank you. Thanks for your time today. That was really interesting. I love the product, and
thank you.
Shared with everyone. Appreciate your time, and we will be in touch as and when we need stair climbers. So thank you.
So, but please contact us if you want a face-to-face CPD session, or sign up for the next SHA disability session that we do. That'd be brilliant.
Thank you. You definitely come recommended from us.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
Bye.